So what do you think it was? And then the other one's like, yeah, I know, dude. That's all I'm thinking about. And it's like, you think it's some dude that's like camped out there, homeless guy, and he's dead somewhere? Did he float down the river? We didn't smell decomp. Hikerj here. This week I'm going to share a tale from the trail. I found this old bin of all my topo maps and trail maps from way back when, and I found a trail that I had a crazy experience on. Basically, I thought we were guiding a group, and we had about 22 people with us, and we thought we actually came across a body. Ultimately turned out to be a drug ring, which was just wild. So I'm going to share that story with you, as well as I'd love to hear your stories about weird things that have happened to you on the trail. Now, before I get into the story, if this is your first time to my channel, if you'd hit subscribe, that would be awesome. I'd love to have you along for the ride. I put out new videos every Thursday on outdoor stuff. Now let's get into the story. When I found this bin down in my basement, I was pretty excited because it's sort of like a trip down amnesia lane for me. And I found all these topos, which I keep in the bag, and I got them from a DNR office up in northern Michigan. And I would use these for off-trail hiking as well as trail hiking, because it can really tell you, if you know how to read a topo and distance and such, you kind of knew where you're at. You could find higher ground for camping, all those types of things. All those things are a little bit lost in this day of GPS and such, but it was just a gas finding this. I used to have this right here, this Burton case right here, that I would put whatever trail I was on in here. It's really dingy and hard to see now, but then I'd just hook it on my backpack with a compass, and I could quickly pick it up, find out where I was at and where I'm going, and keep going. So it was pretty cool. So this story is from one of the trails on this map, and what it was that we were guiding a group of 22 people. Actually, there were 4 guides and 18 children from a children's camp on this trail, and we had 2 female guides, 2 male guides. One of them was a lifeguard certified, and the rest of us were all woofer and such. But and we had a large group. When you talk about 22 people moving along the trail, that's a lot to keep moving. And we were on our third day, and we have those kids that are really getting sore and blisters and those types of things, and it was coming close to dinner, and we still had to find a camp and that type of thing. So what we did was I talked to the other guides, and I said, let's just split up. We'll have a fast group, slow group. I'll stay with the slow group. I took one of the female guides, and then the other 2 went off, and I said, go find a nice place where we were thinking we were going to be, start having dinner, and then we'll catch up with you. So we're just slowly meandering along. I come into camp where they're sitting there, and they're having all mac and cheese and whatnot. And the other male guide comes right up to me, and he's like military now and everything. So he was pre-military back then. So he's always very serious. Nice guy, great guy, but you just knew when it was like he was on. So right when I'm coming into camp, you know, you like take off your pack, cool down a little bit, but he comes right up to me and he says, hey, I'm going to show you where the guys go to the bathroom. Ladies are off this side, guys are that way. And I'm like, well, I can kind of see, like, obviously, but I could tell like something wasn't right. So I'm like, all right. So I drop my pack and I walk off with them through the woods on the one side of the trail, and we kind of veer towards the river because we were really close to the river. And we come up, and he's like, yeah, I found something really weird, but I wasn't comfortable like going through it on my own, so I waited for you. So we come up over this hill, and it's right on the river, and you see this kind of like primitive camp there. And it's got a fire scar and stuff laying around, a lot of like water jugs and gas can jugs laying around. And then this whole like dugout area that's probably like 10 by 8 foot dug down. And then like a roof was made on it with primitive materials, and like one side was like crushed down. So we could tell that nobody had been there for a little while. But what was really freaky was he was like, I come around the side, and I'm like, whoa, is that what I think it is? He goes, yeah, dude, I don't know if that's an arm or what, but I wasn't going to touch it without you. So when I look in there, the roof's kind of down, and I can see that there's like a flannel, like an elbow arm sticking out of this hole, like just like flannel. And I'm like, that looks so much like an arm. And he goes, I know. He says, I wasn't going to touch it. So I grab my hiking pole, and I like go and I kind of like move it, and I'm like totally freaking, you know, like you don't realize, you don't see that stuff in the wilderness very often, but when I go to move it, I realize it's just stuffing and stuff, and I really pull it out, and it's an old sleeping bag. You know how they're like flannel on the inside? It was the flannel. Some critter must have pulled it out, but it was all the stuffing. Man, it looked just like an elbow sticking out. So we're like, oh. So we pull that out, and we look down in there, and it's kind of crushed, but we could see that there was like some, you know, camping gear in there, pots, that type of stuff and everything. And somebody had been living there. So we're like, man, is this like a hobo or what? We look around, nobody's around. The fire scar hadn't been used for, like leaves on top of it and such and everything. So we're like, okay, let's just get back, have dinner, and we'll figure it out. So we get back to where we were having dinner. We talked to the other guides. We do not tell the children at all about this. And we decided to say to the group that, you know, we're going to go and move a couple more miles tonight into a higher ground area. This is low. We made up some excuse like it was low and, you know, and it wasn't kind of swampy. So we'll go find some really nice arid area up top, higher up in the hills. So after we hiked a couple miles, we found a really nice spot, and we made sure that we were on this side of the actual camping, towards the actual side of the trail where this camp was set up, just in case if something came that way, it would hit us first or whatever. But, you know, that night we lay down and we're in our tent and we're like, man, what do you think that was? And we're like, I don't know, man. I was thinking about it too. You know, we're just like laying there. And one of us starts it off with saying, you know, what if he was like a homeless dude and he's like dead and like the body went down the river, or we didn't smell decomp, or what if it's like a murderer, all this crazy stuff. So we didn't sleep really great. But it gives you the major willies out in the woods. So we go and we hike out, and the next day, and we get back to camp. Of course, this is the time when everybody didn't have cell phones, and we call the DNR. Talking to them, they shared with us that this is a practice by drug rings. What they do is they go to state land like this, and they take like a canoe or a boat down the river, and then they stop, and then they go a little ways into the woods that's far enough away, an open area, and they plant all their crops. Now what happens is the dry season comes and it gets too hot and there's not enough rain, so they have this camp right along the river, and they come and they can stay there for a couple days. That's why all the jugs were there, like the water cans and gas cans and everything. They fill them all up, throw them over their shoulders, hike back into the woods, water their marijuana, and then hike back. So that's what it was, and this has been a thing in that area. And they said they would go back, clear it all out. We gave them the exact coordinates on the topo and such, and they went back and cleaned it out. Because I actually went back a year later to see it, and it was just kind of that mound, and most everything. The hole was still there, though. That was kind of crazy. So I'm just wondering, have you ever had any just weird, bizarre stories like that on the trail? Go ahead and share them down below. I'd love to hear them. Till next time, just remember, life's a hike, so hike happy. And try to hike with topos like the old times. Back in my day. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you're new to my channel, if you hit subscribe, that'd be awesome. I put out new videos every Thursday around outdoor gear. And if you'd like to support me, you can check out my merchandise. I have my Hike Happy shirt on here at my store. You can click that down below and check out the other apparel that I have. Till next Thursday, just go ahead and watch some of my other videos.